And so without any further ado, please welcome Mike Schubert and his guest, Johnny, from the Potterless podcast.
Washington, D.C., how are you? Woo! Man, it is great to be here in the only not state in, but maybe that'll change in the future. That's something you want, right? Right? Cool. Okay, good. Let's make it happen. Thank you so much for coming out to the show. This is absolutely wild. It's funny because at the last show we did in Atlanta, I made a whole big deal about how, we sold the most tickets at the Atlanta show out of any show that we've done of Potterless Live ever. And DC broke that record like 2 weeks before the show. So I can't pick between cities because everyone's great and everything, but if I had to choose between my children, I would pick probably Washington, D.C. because clearly you guys are excited to be here. So I'm excited as well. And we have something very important to discuss today. We are here to try to figure out one of the many unanswered questions in the Harry Potter world. We are trying to figure out what is the best action scene in all of the books. And in order to do this, we're going to use a foolproof formula. You might know because we're recording this one in March, and the bad basketball league does the thing where 18 and 19-year-olds miss long two-pointers, and everyone's like, yeah, cool. Oh, they're not getting paid. This is fun. While professional basketball is still on. Like, you can watch the NBA. I will never understand. But you might be familiar with March Madness and all of that. We are going to be doing a bracket to determine what is the best spell or not the best spell. We will be doing a bracket to determine what is the best action scene in the Harry Potter books. And I'm not going to be doing this alone. I've got a guest to help me answer these questions. So why don't you welcome to the stage my best bud, Johnny Frohlichstein. Johnny!
Hello.
How's it going?
I heard you guys talking about taxation without representation out here.
Right.
My blood was boiling back there.
Doesn't the city flag have something to do about that? Like the stars and stripes, isn't that a thing?
I don't know. Is it? I don't know.
Well, the license plate. Yeah. Is the license plate? It's not the city. Isn't that also the city flag design that's on the license plate? There it is. Thank you. Look how much we're learning today. They didn't teach me enough in history class. So we've got the whole bracket laid out. We are going to start making our way through it.
A bracket sure is a fun format. That seems like a thing in March Madness's favor that you failed to acknowledge to me because I love March Madness.
Johnny likes March Madness for
so
some
great.
reason. We had a very respectful argument about it the other day where we saw each other's points and we're like, okay, fine. Whereas Johnny likes the structure of it, which I agree with, but I don't get why you would watch the not best people on Earth play basketball when you can at the same time.
Because they cry when they lose and it's really sweet.
Okay. Shout out to St. Peter's in the state of New Jersey for doing well this year. But enough basketball talk at the Harry Potter live show. We are here to talk about Harry Potter stuff. Johnny and I we put in a lot of work to try to figure out the best action scene. We had lots of different criteria in terms of what defined a scene, what defined a moment. So if your particular favorite scene is not in here, I'm very sorry. There were literally infinite to choose from. But we tried to find the ones that were the most action-packed, and we've divided them into 4 quadrants to start. So first, representing the Gryffindor corner of the bracket, we've got all of the duels. So you have all different duels going on. In the Ravenclaw corner of the bracket, we've got all of the action scenes that are not specifically duels, so important and meaningful scenes, that you could talk about in a nerdy way and be like, yes, look at the symbolism and other words. Then also, we've got the evil section, because Slytherin is here, and they didn't get rid of that house for some reason. Ooh, Slytherin folks in the crowd. Ooh, wow, ooh, okay. All right, and then we've got the Hufflepuff, which is the rest. Wow, okay. All right, big Hufflepuff town. Basically, anything that didn't fit in one of these criteria found its way into the Hufflepuff section of the bracket. So we got a lot of fun stuff going on. Okay. So what we have, the way that we're going to do this is we've got rounds for each of them. We've got rules for each round. The first one, we kind of just, Johnny and I are going to make our way through pretty quickly, just like talking about each one for a minute or so. So I would say hold your audience participation for the future rounds where we will turn to you for the applause-o-meter in order to determine who makes it on into the next rounds. But because we just have so many to get through right off the bat, let us just kind of get through this, and then we can get into some silly fun stuff where we ask for your help. So, first round matchup in the Gryffindor duel bracket. The number 1 seed is Dumbledore versus Voldemort in year 5, which is great, and I will never forgive the movie for not making that one good. Who directed the 5th movie? Was that David Yates? That Kentucky-born idiot, am I right? And then the 8th seed is Molly versus Bellatrix in year 7, which you might know as the "Not my daughter, you bitch" portion of the book. The all caps curse word in the Harry Potter books. So between these two, Johnny, what are you feeling? I obviously have made my love of the Dumbledore versus Voldemort fight scene quite well known.
Well, I want to call out on the "not my daughter, you bitch" scene that I got well actually'd harder than I've ever gotten well actually'd at the Atlanta live show.
Oh!
Because I said that was the only time the word bitch was used in the series, and somebody immediately emailed him, and they were like, no, it was used in the 3rd book too, and I was like, okay.
But that was the different one. They were talking about, it was like Aunt Marge talking about her dog, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Different kind of bitch.
Right.
But
I do appreciate everyone in the car going, "Oh, come on!" As someone that gets like one I got notified on Reddit yesterday. It was such an old, yeah, definitely. It was such an old post that it was from the era of Potterless where I was posting episode stuff myself on Reddit, as opposed to, there's this wonderful guy, user/u/Job, but the O is a 0, and he set up like auto stuff. But this was from episode 77, and someone was actually, that is hard to say. Someone was actuallying me about, I said the wrong version of the Pavlovian response thing, and they started this with, "You probably don't care," and I immediately to myself said, "Yes, you've done it." But they did let me know, it's great, it's fine, but also, it's a 3.5-year-old episode of a podcast. Do we really care? Anyway, you got big actually.
But that being said, I think we're in agreement here that Dumbledore versus Voldemort is just an all-time scene. I mean, Fawkes does the like diving in front of Dumbledore in slow motion to take the Avada Kedavra. Like, no, like it's incredible.
He eats it, which I think is an unnecessary flourish that is really good. Like, he didn't need to eat it, but he did.
He went out of his way to eat it.
He was like, if I'm gonna go out, I'm going out in style. And then. What is also really interesting upon rereading the scene is that Voldemort throws an Avada Kedavra non-verbally, which is wild. Like, to do what I would assume is the hardest spell to do without having to say it, this dude is quite powerful.
What a way to go. Like, you're just walking around and somebody non-verbals that one at you, and then boom, it's over.
Wild.
What a way to go.
And Dumbledore the whole time just like flicking the wrist. Yeah, so I think that's the clear winner. Dumbledore versus Voldemort moves on. If you're sad about "Not My Daughter, You Bitch" not making it forward, it got a pretty good run in the best quote bracket we did in Atlanta. So just wait till I post that live show episode in like a year and a half or whatever. So the next matchup in the dual bracket section is Harry versus Voldemort in year 4, so the first time they face off, and the number 5 seed is the Department of Mysteries, all the tentacle brains and the squad and Neville and Ginny and all that good stuff in book 5. Everything before the veil and what we're not going to talk about because I'll get too sad.
This is a close one.
It is very close.
I think the Department of Mysteries is just so weird. There's so much stuff that like everything you said, the brains like grasping people, and the time jar that makes the dude's head turn into a baby, and then there's a baby walking around the battle for the rest of the time, really out of place. And so yeah, I think I lean Department of Mysteries here. But do you have a case for Graveyard Fight?
I do really like Graveyard Fight. I feel like it does lose a little bit of luster just in that they do fight again, and it's better in year 7. And I think the coolest thing of the fight, aside from Kill the Spare, which is an all-time line, I really do enjoy when they shoot the spell at each other and then they float off into the air. I think that's very cool. And I think that was the first time I was truly let down by the movies because I had not watched the movies after reading, but after reading that chapter, I was like, oh, I gotta see what this one looks like in the movie. And I YouTubed it and I was really sad. But I don't want to hold that against it. We're going book, not movie.
And I got a bone to pick with Cedric, though, because I think it is extremely selfish of him in this life or death situation to ask for Harry to bring his body back. I think that is extremely selfish. Let the man go. He's like running from this mass murderer. Come on. He's not going to bring... Come on.
Harry, my parents requested an open casket, please.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be cremated.
Yeah, why did your parents request how
I'm
your funeral...
very Catholic. Yeah, I think the Department of Mysteries, just from the fact that so many different things happen, and also the fact that like that's like the first time that Neville and Luna truly, and Ginny, truly cement themselves as like the squad members, like not the original trio, but they're in the mix. And I think that's a really nice moment for them as well. So I'm going to give the slight upset to the Department of Mysteries. All right, so now we will get on to the 3 seed, which is Harry vs. Voldemort in year 7, and the 6 seed, which is the stuff that all takes place after Dumbledore dies. Spoiler alert. After Dumbledore dies at the lightning-struck tower. So just all that stuff afterwards, with breaking the Protego, or using Reducto to break the charm that the Death Eaters have put in the stairway. Yada 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 yada. I feel like it's really hard to top Harry versus Voldemort because Harry talks so much trash, and he does it while walking in a circle and not breaking eye contact. Like, that is so cool.
I'm pretty sure that's what Simba and Scar do at the end of The Lion King, too.
I'm pretty sure I made that joke in the episode of Potterless. But yes, clearly on the same wavelength. Yeah, I mean, all of the stuff after Dumbledore dies is really cool, but also very terrifying in some instances, like the Fenrir Greyback Lavender Brown situation. But I feel like it's so hard to top Harry vs. Voldemort. That's where we get You Dare, Yes I Dare.
Twice. Two times.
That's where we get him like explaining how Voldemort messed up. We also, obviously the duel itself is very cool. The Elder Wand, all that stuff. I feel like the edges to Harry vs. Voldemort.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Cool. So now we can move on to the 2 seed, which is the Battle of Hogwarts, versus the 7 seed, Snape versus McGonagall in year 7. That short little fight they have, but it's really, really good. This one is going to be tricky, because obviously the Battle of Hogwarts is the Battle of Hogwarts, but I love McGonagall a lot.
Well, and I think that one's really sick because in the movie they sort of ruined the whole Voldemort and Snape can fly thing because everyone can fly for some reason. But
yeah.
I think in the book it's like really shocking when Voldemort can do it and then Snape can do it and it's like, oh, he's also on that level and it's really impactful. And I think, I don't know, you're right. It's going to be tough to beat the Battle of Hogwarts, which is just like the immediate, 6 hours after that one tiny little battle.
Yeah, the Battle of Hogwarts has so much going on. It's something that the writing of it really makes you feel like you are there. It is frantic. There's so many different things happening. You've got all these characters that we know and love or hate, depending on if you're talking about the villains or the heroes. It feels like too consequential. And honestly, upon reread of Snape vs. McGonagall, which we were reading before taking the stage, it's like wildly short. Like, I knew it was quick, but it is like not very long. And maybe I had just like built it up in my head as cooler than it actually was. I still think it's great, but I don't think it can top the Battle of Hogwarts.
I'm also going to brazenly cheat and talk about something from the movies, which is when McGonagall says that she's always wanted to use that spell.
That is very good. But unfortunately, we're talking book stuff. Okay, so I think Hogwarts does advance, and that finishes the Gryffindor bracket. I also forgot to say in the intro that Johnny and I today, we took the first train in from New York City, and we grabbed food at Call Your Mother, and then went immediately, we grabbed food and we immediately went to the tidal basin to see the cherry blossoms, and let me tell you, the hype was real. It was gorgeous. And that is why today I am dressed like a cherry blossom, noting that I have pink shoes and bark-colored pants and a pink t-shirt and a white denim jacket. Very intentional. And if you're listening to this after the fact wondering why did Mike just describe his outfit to people that can see him, it's because you listening at home don't know how good I look, and it has to be known.
Also, Kelly, his wife, called him My Little Cherry Blossom before the show. I heard it. That was a lie. I made that up.
So believable, though, right? Because she's so darn cute. All right, so now in the non-dual action scenes, the number 1 seed of the Shrieking Shack / werewolf stuff that goes on in book 3, whereas the 8th seed is Harry catching the first snitch in his mouth. Very cool, less important.
I do want to give that one its due, though,
Yeah.
because he does almost get bucked off of his broom, which, like, he's 11 and he's, 200 feet in the air and he's, like, hanging on for dear life, and everyone's just okay with it, which is wild to me.
Yeah, safety regulations at Hogwarts, not their strong suit. I mean, the Shrieking Shack thing, that whole scene, I think, is just too... It's just too important in terms of like that particular book and then also in the series, because as I've talked about on the show, I feel like that is the moment when the series changes from like, oh, look, these cute semi-mystery novels to, oh, wow, this book series is actually very good. And that is also the point at which I stopped dunking on the books for everything and started enjoying them. So I have a little bit of an attachment to it, but I also think it's just like a really nice scene.
Shout out to Ron for enduring that whole thing with, like, a broken femur.
Yeah, dude.
Holy moly.
Maybe it was the adrenaline, because I don't know if you've ever broken your leg, but I broke my leg.
What?
You didn't know this?
No.
Did you? You didn't know me? You were at Rice. It was the first weekend of Rice University when I was a junior, and we went to Sky World, which is a trampoline park. And
Is that where you broke your leg?
Wow, you're good. I went there and I had a trampoline all growing up, and I was very confident in my trampolining abilities, which were great. And then we went to the Sky Park thing where then we went to the trampoline park and they had trampolines on the ground and they had ones at 45-degree angles. And I was like, I bet I could jump from one and then onto the other and then do a flip and land. And I did all of that, just landed on my foot in the wrong direction.
But it looked rad as hell, I imagine.
It I still landed it, just like not great. But no, I thought I had just like twisted my ankle. It swole up really bad, but it didn't hurt that much. It definitely popped. But then when I went to get an x-ray at the emergency room, they asked me what happened. I'm like, I think it's just a really bad sprain. They got the x-rays back, and the guy looks at them, and he looks at me. He goes, this didn't hurt? And then he flipped it around, and my leg was super broken, like really big. So maybe Ron was just like super amped up from, I don't know, a tree and a dog almost murdering him. So maybe he was just feeling that. But yeah, I feel like Shrieking Shack is too hard to top here. So now we've got the next matchup, which is between the 4 seed of the Triwizard Tournament Task number 3 and the 5 seed, the Triwizard Tournament Task number 1. Clearly, very different tasks in that we've got giant dragons that you have to get an egg from versus a whole bunch of stuff where you've got evil hedges and blast-ended scroots and a sphinx and mist that makes you go upside down and then
And point me.
and point
My
to
favorite
me,
spell.
your favorite spell in all the land. I think both of these are very good. I would want to give the edge to the third task just because with the first task, we only really get to see Harry's go at it, and then we just kind of like overhear some stuff in the background, and then the narrator just kind of like sums up what we like later learn what the other folks did, whereas we basically get to see Harry's full experience through the third task.
Yeah, the first task is just like X Games Quidditch, basically. It's like extreme Quidditch.
Yeah, I mean, especially because what we see with Harry is just the flying. If we got to see more of the other stuff, maybe, but I feel like the third task is just too cool.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Notably not on this list is Task 2, which would have been very fun to watch. The number 3 seed is the 7 Potters scene, everyone disguising as different Harrys and then trying to fool the Death Eaters and it not working very well. Shout out to the 3 people who just went, because they remembered, oh yeah, that's when Hedwig dies. And the... It's a Gmail account. And then the 6th seed, which is the first real time that Harry does Expecto Patronum, when he actually does the stag, when he thinks it's his dad, but it's actually him, Time Turner, all that good stuff.
Did you just call Hedwig a Gmail account?
Yeah. I don't need to get into this. I'm not a pet person, and all the owls do is send letters.
My dog brings me the mail, but my dog is so much more than a Gmail account. He's perfect, and I love him.
Does Dodger like bite you because you didn't write a letter enough? Like, I don't know. I think Hedwig is rude to Harry.
He certainly gives the side eye.
So between 7 Potters and the real Expecto Patronum, how do you feel?
I think 7 Potters, because Expecto Patronum is this like beautiful scene, and I get that, Harry realizes that, it actually wasn't my dad, it was me, I had it in me all along. But I think that in terms of pure action, 7 Potters is just like such an incredible scene. There's so much whoa.
Amber Alert live. This has never happened before. Whoa. I'm not going to say anything. It's like a severe weather, right? Thanks, everyone, for making it out to the show despite the severe weather. Wild. But shout out to the severe weather so that one of my friends could attend the show because she had a conflict, but now she can make it. So yay, severe weather. Whee! I hope everyone's okay from this severe weather. I don't know what it is, but if it's like a flood or something, let the record show. I hope no one gets hurt. Thunderstorms? Oh, you'll be fine, right? Right? I have no idea about DC weather. Anyway, Seven
forgot what the
Potters.
matchup was.
Seven Potters versus the first real Expecto Patronum. I agree. I think Seven Potters has so much action going on, and there's so many different elements to the scene.
Yeah, that's where
would
Harry's
give-
wand gets like
Oh,
dragged
Amber
upwards.
Alert round 2. What's good?
We've already established there was not an Amber
I've
Alert.
never been truly heckled at a Potterless live show before, but I have certainly never been heckled by everyone's phone at the same time.
So Seven
Potters. I feel like Seven Potters has the edge. It's very cool. It's also got some humor to it. In all sincerity, Hedwig dying is a very sad, touching moment. You also get Voldemort flying, which was a true, genuine, like, drop my book, oh shit moment when I read it because I hadn't seen the movies yet. So this was something that I knew was very impressive. And then also you get the Harry gold sparks, and at that point you have no idea what's going on. It's just very confusing. Then they like. You also get the Hagrid's nos on his on his motorbike, and then the free falling into like a lake. There's so many cool things happening with Seven Potters.
Mm-hmm. And you got Evil Stan Shunpike. So
Evil
yeah.
Stan Shunpike, who I definitely thought was Draco Malfoy in disguise. One of my finer moments.
Like what would the rationale behind that plan be?
I don't know, Polyjuice Potion, and then if someone catches him, it's like, let's just throw the guy we don't care that much about in jail. I thought it made sense. So the number 2 seed is the Dumbledore Ring of Fire versus the Inferi in the evil cave situation. And then the number 7 seed is Harry versus the Basilisk in year 2. A good fight, good stuff going on. But like, if Fawkes didn't come through, it's a very short book series.
Also, if the hat didn't come through.
Yeah. Underrated unsung hero, the Hat.
No, yeah. I think the Dumbledore Ring of Fire is just so epic because he's down on his luck. You know, he's just had the
Worst hangover ever.
Yeah. and then he rises to the occasion. I think this one is a no-brainer. Do you have anything to say for the Basilisk scene?
No, I mean, I do think it's very cool that, you know, Harry, even though he's been attacked by a basilisk and he does have the wherewithal to grab the fang and then destroy a diary or a journal, just absolutely.
And in the book, doesn't he grab the fang out of his arm and stab it? I think so.
He might, unless you're confusing it with like every season of 24 starring Jack Bauer, where he does something really cool. But
I'm definitely confusing it with every season of 24 starring Jack Bauer.
Loved that show. Yeah, let's have the Ring of Fire advance, and we can move on to the evil stuff. So number 1 seed, Nightmare Fuel, the snake coming out of Bathilda Bagshot's neck. Fun! And the 8 seed, Frank Bryce getting murdered for eavesdropping. I like the people who went like Frank Bryce, beloved character, guy we knew for 4 pages, and all he was doing that time was eavesdropping.
We got to talk about Frank Bryce because Frank Bryce, I think she describes him as a war vet. And he definitely just like sits the local town children down and tells them about the war. And like, that's his deal. And he's so cute and sweet. And then all he did was go investigate and do a little eavesdropping. And then
it was like the kindest, most innocent version of fucking around and finding out.
He found out.
He found out. But I do want to give a shout out to something that does always make me chuckle in the scene was like if the chair Voldemort was in was like this chair, which doesn't have wheels and Pettigrew just like drags it and it makes a really loud creaking noise. But yeah, I mean, Snake out of Bathilda would have even been tough to beat if it was just a giant snake coming out of a woman's neck. But the fact that you also get the interesting Harry seeing Voldemort, seeing himself Inception thing going on. There's so much in that scene, and it's really intense.
Yeah, and he hears Voldemort say in his head, like, hold him or something before he shows up, and like doesn't make the connection that he should probably boot scoot.
Well, because and Boogie?
Yeah.
It's because he still thinks that he's going to be able to get the sword. And I do like that Harry is like yelling with Bathilda the way that I will yell at my laptop if I'm trying to like back it up or upload an episode or something when I have to leave. I'm like, come on. Because he keeps asking, what is he keeps saying? Like, do you have anything for me? Do you have anything for me? And the thing that I forgot that we were rereading this is the whole time Harry is polyjuiced as an old bald man, which is great that I totally forgot when you see the whole thing. It's like, oh, and Voldemort saw the bald man and the old woman. And I was like, who's in this scene? And then Johnny politely reminded me because I've read these books exactly once each, so I forget some details. But yeah, I feel like it's gonna be. You can't top the.
No, yeah, it's too spooky.
Spooky indeed. Speaking of spooky, number 4 seed, running away from Aragog, the giant spider that wants to eat Harry and Ron, and the 5 seed, Harry as Nagini biting Arthur Weasley 3 times and hearing the crunch of his ribs with each bite. Hope everyone ordered a bunch of food before we took this stage.
Well, yeah, both of these scenes involve the desire to eat people because Aragog's also trying to get in on that feast.
Yeah. Right. I think Nagini and Aragog are both quite terrifying. I feel like I want to give the edge to the Aragog scene because, like, giant talking spider that shows no kindness towards them, even though he likes Hagrid. I remember being really shook by that scene. And then you get cool action scene following it where they're escaping and the car comes back and, you know, we've got our Ford Anglia best friend back in the mix.
The reason that I like the snake attacking is because Harry wakes up still, like, kind of thinking he wants to, like, fuck up Mr. Weasley because he's, like, still a little bit in snake mode. And I don't know, I like the sort of, like, portrayal of him as the snake, and he's, like, sort of, like, confused about whether or not he's him or the snake. I don't know. I think that's pretty, like, that's evil stuff. That's spooky stuff.
Okay, I think we might do the rare first round applause meter.
Oh.
If you think that the Aragog scene should advance, make some noise. Okay. If you think Harry as Nagini biting Arthur should advance, make some noise. All right, okay. There it goes. Cool. All right, so that advances. And now, the 3 seed is the dark mark being cast and the kids figuring out what's going on in the at the Quidditch World Cup in book 4. And number 6 seed is all of the Horcrux necklace stuff where Ron saves Harry and then gets absolutely roasted by a necklace and then just smacks it with a sword.
First of all, Ron has to pull Harry out of the freezing cold water because Harry forgot to take the Horcrux off when he jumped in. And that's like literally just the equivalent of walking out of the house with your fly down. That's like exactly what Harry did.
You gotta, I don't know if this is just because of my Jersey Shore upbringing, but like you gotta at least do the thing where if he's worried about the valuables, like put it in your shoe. No one will ever find it there. Like that's what I did all of the time. And I just think it was very foolish of him. But I mean, that scene is very cool, but the Dark Mark stuff, like that's like genuinely bone chilling. Like,
oh yeah.
It's probably the first like truly scary thing that happens. Like obviously the werewolf and all that Shrieking Shack stuff in book 3 is terrifying, but like this is like truly evil. They're messing with muggles and flying them up in the air against their will and all of that. Like it is very evil stuff.
Yeah, and that's also the first inkling of like maybe Malfoy's parents are more than just mean because Draco's like maybe my dad's out there. I don't know. I wouldn't tell you.
So what are you feeling between the two?
Oh, I'm definitely on Dark Mark scene.
Okay, yeah, I think it's very close, but I think I want to give the edge to that. It is truly horrifying stuff. All right, now, number 2 seed, last matchup in the evil section, Malfoy Manor, which does include the wildest death ever of Pettigrew strangling himself, and then also Dobby riding on a chandelier. Like, is that Sia? The I'm gonna swing. And then you've got Bellatrix torturing Hermione, and then all that you've got the triple like Wolverine level where Harry's got 3 wands and does triple Expelliarmus, all the Malfoy Manor stuff. And then number 7, the only thing the movies did really, really well, I think, Katie Bell getting cursed by the necklace. Because man, does the movie do that justice. I feel like that one's very good and obviously is very scary, but like Malfoy Manor just has too many cool things happening in rapid succession. And then if you even extend it to Dobby, like so many emotions running in that set of scenes.
Yeah, and like, you forget that when Pettigrew's doing his little like autoerotic asphyxiation thing.
I'm glad you said it. We were all thinking it.
Don't knock it till you try it. He like Hermione's upstairs, like getting, completely tortured and screaming, and it's just like horrific. And yeah, I think this one is a definite winner.
Cool. All right, let us now move on to the Hufflepuff section. Now, the number 1 seed is the Goofy heist, breaking into the Ministry of Magic in year 7, where they have to disguise themselves, and Ron is pretending to be someone's husband, and all that crazy hijinks, and then and all those wild shenanigans, and then. And then our 8 seed, which could beat it, Dobby dropping a cake on people's heads.
That's some action.
That's some action, let me tell you. That, I will say, we had a really tough time with some of these. Like, there's so many duels, we had to leave stuff on the cutting room floor. This was the one where you're like, Dobby dropping the cake? Action. The only thing that did become the 9 seed was the Weird Sisters concert. So we got real loose in the Hufflepuff section. I love Dobby dropping the cake, but breaking into the Ministry is so fun. And
It's just like a good old-fashioned heist, you know? Like, you can see them, like, describing the plan, and, like, they go as dressed as waiters, and then they go change in the bathroom, you know? It's, like, classic heist. I love it.
Ocean's 3.
Yeah.
So that wins. Moving on, number 4 seed, the Weasleys freeing Harry from his room in book 2 by breaking the bars with the Ford Anglia, and the 5 seed, troll in the dungeon / troll in the bathroom, Wingardium Leviosa. They're both good.
Yeah, I really like the troll scene just because of, like, how extremely stupid the whole thing is. Like, you know, like, no one involved has any idea what they're doing. The troll certainly has no idea what he's doing. He's operating on pure instinct. But then again, so is Ron, because he casts the only spell that he's learned in the 3 months that he's been there somehow. So I don't know. Do you have anything to say for the other one?
The other one, it's so funny because it's Fred and George truly shining, and it's a great friend moment because this is the first time, it's book 2, Harry's back in the terrible situation, and then you're trying to think, how is he going to get out of this? And he does in the most ridiculous way. And they're not allowed to use magic, so Fred and George pick a lock with a bobby pin. It's incredible.
I forgot about that.
It's so good. And you've got Angry Vernon and Fred and George and Ron all being goofy. I think it's really close. I don't know.
The fact that he picks the lock has put that one over the edge. That's so good.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go with the Weasleys there. It's close. I think the thing with the bathroom troll is like the scene itself isn't as good, but like what the scene means is good. Like that's them like first really coming together. What does precede the scene is Ron and Harry being such douchebags that they make Hermione cry in a bathroom. So maybe that loses it some points. But yeah, I think the Weasleys. It's close, but that's a slight edge. All right. Number 3 scene. The number 3 seed, we have another Weasley one. It is the Weasleys. I wrote breaking into, but it's more of accidentally finding themselves in the Dursleys' fireplace. And then giving Dudley a, what is it? What's the
Tongue toffee.
Yes, to make his tongue incredibly large. And purple, right? And then the 6th seed, which is escaping from the wedding and then going to the diner at Tottenham Court Road.
So I have a lot of empathy for Vernon Dursley as someone who lives in a house because
you did save that beginning clause very quickly.
Because if somebody blew up my fucking chimney,
and I have a lot of sympathy for Dudley as someone who accidentally bites his tongue all of the time. Canker sores are the worst. Yeah, I think the wedding escape scene is good, but I don't think it's anything incredible. It's more of just like, you gotta leave, and then they do, and it's like, oh no, there's some Death Eaters here, and then they dispose of them quite quickly. The hijinks that take place during the breaking into the fireplace, I think, is fun, and I think it does a nice job of breaking up. I feel like at this point, because was this book, which book was this? 4? Yeah. I feel like at this point, at least when I was reading, I was like, oh, we're back at the Dursleys again? Oh, hey, congratulations. It's like, we're back at the Dursleys again? Really? How are they going to spice this up? And it's like, what if it was a big goofy time? So I think that's pretty good. I feel okay giving the edge to the fireplace scene.
yeah, I'm with you.
Cool. All right, and now we can move on to the final matchup of the first round. The other heist, the more serious one, breaking into Gringotts in year 7, or the 7 seed, which is all of the Whomping Willow fighting the car stuff. So everything after they escaped.
So for this heist, I kind of like the idea that like they have to do the scene where they're getting the gang back together and they're all like doing really weird stuff, like playing poker with people or whatever. And you're like, you know, what's the job? And like that whole thing. I love that.
This
is a
does
heist.
fit into the Ocean's 11 canon of the joke I just made before, where I said Ocean's 3, because in this one, they do also have grip hook. So it truly is Ocean's 4, where they return, but they've got one extra person. Yeah, I mean, the Gringotts heist is so cool because you've got Hermione disguised as Bellatrix, which is fantastic. You've got Harry using the Imperious Curse, which is ridiculous. He uses it 2 separate times. You've got our favorite roller coaster, the Gringotts, whatever it is, cart that's very disappointing at Universal Studios. Not a good roller coaster. Do not waste your time. Just spend your time waiting in line for Hagrid's ride.
You have that poor abused dragon.
Oh, the dragon with the clankers. And this is where I got corrected for my Pavlovian response thing from earlier. You've got the Geminio duplicating hot things, which the only scars that I have on my arms are from pots from cooking. So I relate to this quite well.
The other thing I like about this scene is that it, like, their plan immediately goes to shit. Like, they walk in, and, like, 2 seconds later, they're like, oh, these guys are imposters, and they're like, Imperious, and that's like the rest of the whole thing. Way better.
That's pretty good. Okay, so that concludes the first round. And now we can... Thank you for the one person who clapped. We did it. We talked about stuff. So now we can get into the second round where we've got you all getting involved and us switching things up with some rules. So the rule that we have for the second round is that Johnny and I will each be picking one of these things to argue on behalf of. We can only make our case with 10 total words. So we're going to try to defend which of these scenes is better, but only say 10 words, and then we'll turn it over to you for the applause meter. So our first matchup in the duel section is the Dumbledore versus Voldemort duel versus the Department of Mysteries. So the thing that happens towards the end of book 5, followed by the thing that happens right after, divided by Can't I, Potter? Which will, for the sake of neutrality, not be in either of these scenes. What would you like to defend?
I'll defend Voldemort versus Dumbledore.
Okay, I will go with the Department of Mysteries. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Cool.
We all wonder who is the GOAT. Now we know.
Ooh, it's very, very good. Okay, let's see. But seriously, what was the Ministry doing with tentacle brains?
Don't knock it till you try it.
You try that new drug, tentacle brains? If you think that the Department of Mysteries should advance, make some noise. Okay, all right. If you think that Dumbledore versus Voldemort should advance, make some noise. I mean, yeah. Tough to top. Shout out to, if you need a good wizard rock song, my buddy David Gordon, who's on the podcast, has a song called Tentacle Brains for his wizard rock band, Alas Earwax, and it's great. It's just this very, like, creepy sounding Tentacle Brains, which does ask the question, what were they doing? So the next matchup is between Harry versus Voldemort in year 7 and the Battle of Hogwarts in year 2. Wow, the other thing of everything preceding one scene versus the duel that ends it. Do you want to do Battle of Hogwarts or Harry versus Voldemort?
I'll do Harry versus Voldemort.
Okay, I will start off with the Battle of Hogwarts. Let's see. Giants, wizards, Death Eaters. Oh my. Castle crumbling, teamwork abound, action.
You think wand in your hand is yours? That's cute.
Very good. If you think the Battle of Hogwarts should advance, make some noise. Okay. If you think Harry versus Voldemort year 7 should advance, make some noise. All right, look at you go. Cool. All righty, so now we can move on to the non-dual action scenes. The first one is between the Shrieking Shack stuff versus Triwizard Tournament task number 3. What do you want to go for?
I'll take task number 3.
Okay, how about you start it off and then I'll do the shack.
That riddle was so fucking hard. How'd he get it?
It was a really easy riddle.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I was a kid when I read them, unlike some
That's
people
true.
on
Yeah,
the stage.
I was a grown man with a college degree. Okay, let's see. Am I going to get this in 10 words? If you hear some yelling marauders in an old shack. That was a B-52's Fred Schneider.
Okay.
If you see a faded sign on the side. I ran out of words, but I love Fred Schneider too much. But I wanted to end it with the shrieking shack. If you think the task 3 of the Triwizard Ornament should advance, make some noise. Okay. If you think the Shrieking Shack stuff should advance, make some noise. Okay. Good. I'm glad my fumbled Fred Schneider argument was good enough to pass it through. All right, so now we've got the 7 Potters versus the Dumbledore Ring of Fire in the cave with the Inferi. What would you like to defend?
I will take Ring of the Dumbledore fire scene.
Cool. And then I'll go with the 7 Potters. Okay. Let's see. Voldemort flying. Hedwig dying. Everyone crying. Order trying. Didn't work.
I fell into a burning ring of fire.
Short, sweet, to the point. If you think that the 7 Potters should advance, make some noise. Ooh, okay. If you think the Ring of Fire should advance, make some noise. I think it was 7 Potters, yeah. I'm wondering if the Ring of Fire thing is good or if you and I just made ourselves laugh so much at the thought of calling it the Ring of Fire thing that we are tricking ourselves into thinking it's a very cool scene. So now into the evil section. We've got Snake coming out of Bathilda Batshot's neck and another Snake one, Nagini, but Harry is Nagini biting Arthur.
I'll take Bathilda, the Bathilda neck scene. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Why don't you start that off and then I'll do Nagini.
What the fuck?
Touche. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the exact quote of it. Stitches, it sounds like they're sewing you back together. Wait, what? When Molly realizes that's what they do. That's one of my favorite quotes when they overhear as the door is closing, Molly hating the concept of stitches. If you think that Bathilda's neck is actually a snake situation, is the thing that should advance, make some noise. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you think Harry is Nagini should advance, make some noise. Yeah, okay, definitely Bathilda, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. We all stayed up sleepless for a week after we read that chapter. Okay, now we've got the Dark Mark being cast in book 4 or Malfoy Manor. What would you like to go for?
I'll do Malfoy Manor.
Cool. You start that off, and then I'll do. I'll go first this time. I'll do the Dark Mark. Let's see. Hard to say what's worse: Quidditch World Cup or this.
Hard to say what's worse. Camping trip or this.
Yikes. Yeah, that'll be the next bracket. If there's ever a city where ticket sales aren't good, we'll last minute turn it to most boring scene. If you think that the Dark Mark casting should advance, make some noise. All right. If you think Malfoy Manor should advance, make some noise. All right. Makes sense. Yep. It's a very good
That feels like
scene.
an upset. I feel like we expected Dark Mark to go a lot further.
Yeah. Oh, a third Amber Alert. What's good? Rule of threes. Thank you, Amber Alert. This is great. I hope everyone in DC is like, what is it this time? Is that not also an Amber Alert? Oh, okay, that makes me feel better. It's just a weather alert. It's the same noise, though, on your phone. Yeah, okay, geez. Okay, everyone's children are safe, as long as they're not outside in the inclement weather. Now we go on to the final section, the Hufflepuff bracket, 10 words. We've got breaking into the Ministry of Magic or the Weasleys freeing Harry from the room.
I'll do the Weasleys freeing Harry.
Okay. Why don't you start us off then?
All I did was eat a piece of candy on ground.
That's the wrong one, Johnny. Book 2, freeing him from Harry's bedroom, not Not getting stuck inside of a fireplace.
Here's what happened. I heard the word Weasley and my brain turned off. But that's my argument. It has
For
to
the
stand.
next time, yeah.
If you vote for that, you're terrible because I was wrong.
Okay, so let's see. The breaking into the Ministry of Magic in book 7. Okay. They planned for so long. And that's the best thing? If you think that the Weasleys freeing Harry in book 2 should advance, make some noise.
Disqualified. Disqualified. No, fuck
And
off.
if you think breaking into the Ministry of Magic should advance, make some noise. All right. Now, let's see. We've got the Weasleys getting stuck inside of the fireplace.
Yeah, when they broke Harry out in book 2.
Yeah. And then breaking into Gringotts in book 7. What would
I'll
you-
take breaking into Gringotts.
Okay. Let's see. Honestly, Flu Network, not a smart system. Due for comeuppance.
Hell of a use of the word comeuppance there. That's lovely. It's a lovely word.
What can I say? I'm a professional talker.
All right. The Gringotts scene.
That's pretty good. Shout out to me and my buddy Joe Zuccari, who used to, in 8th grade, take our chairs, because they were chairs that were separate from desks, and we used to, like, if we were bored in class, like, pretend that we were in a roller coaster and, like, slightly lean and go up and hope the teacher didn't catch us.
Also, you had a bowl cut.
I did. We both did. We both had great bowl cuts, and for some reason, people complimented our hair, and they were all incorrect. So if you think that the getting stuck in the fireplace scene should advance, make some noise. Makes sense. If you think that the Gringotts scene should advance, make some noise. Okay. That makes sense. And with that, we have concluded the first 2 rounds and the first act of the show. We're going to have a little brief intermission. All right. Yay! Woo! Okay. I hope everyone had a great intermission. I missed you. Let's go and continue this bracket and have a fun time doing so. Now, where we left off was, what is this, the Elite Eight? Yeah. So now what we're going to be doing is a round. This is new. We've never done this in any of our brackets before.
So tell them what we typically do and why it wouldn't work.
What we normally do, if you've heard any of these bracket episodes before, or if you've been to a past live show, we usually do acrostics for these, which is, those things where, you make you take the first letter, you take the letter of each thing and you make a word for each letter. We'd be here for 4 days if we started making acrostics for Harry versus Dumbledore in year 7. Or
Harry versus...
Whoa, Harry versus... Oh, that's in the a manuscript of book 8 that I have access to. No, it's bad. It's probably really bad, given that she probably wrote it. Anyway, not doing acrostics wouldn't work for this stuff. What? All her spin-off stuff is ass. Like, The Cursed Child is butt. Fantastic Beasts is horrible.
And all of that content she puts on Twitter.
Oh, that's just... That is the most egregious use of the word content ever. You mean hate speech, sir.
That's right.
So instead, what we're going to be doing is since it's scenes, what we're going to do is Johnny and I are going to take one of these scenes and we are going to say, if we were the Hans Zimmer of the film and we were scoring it, what music would we put behind the scene? So that's what we will be doing. And don't worry, we'll be picking songs you've heard of and not like, oh, I would get vague violin noise 12 if you download Pro Tools.
That was going to be my answer.
I'm very sorry, Johnny. So that's what we're going to be doing. Same thing. We'll turn to you for the applause meter to determine what was the best. Also, friendly reminder, if you still want to send questions, you can do so to potterlesspodcast@gmail.com. We did get a bunch of emails and stuff, but you can still send them through for the Q&A after the fact. But let's go. Johnny, we've got the final matchup of just duels now, and it is Dumbledore versus Voldemort in year 5 and Harry versus Voldemort in year 7. What would you like to defend?
I'll do Harry versus Voldemort.
Okay. So I will kick things off then with Dumbledore versus, or you start us off and then I'll do Dumbledore versus Voldemort, year 5.
So if I were scoring this scene as written in the book, not the movie when they get in a fist fight, but if I were scoring this in the book, I would say the moment Harry yells Protego and throws off his invisibility cloak. At that very moment, I would press play on the final countdown. I think it would be.
Would it just be the music cue, or would it happen on the? Would it be the guy saying the final countdown on the note where?
No.
He throws it?
Like the second he throws it off would be the like.
Okay. And then there's got to be something like the first thing cast is when it goes the final count. Whoosh. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So Dumbledore versus Voldemort. So the Dumbledore versus Voldemort fight is so good that I feel like it would need one of those like really intense scores. Like I don't know the name of it, but what's the one that's like ha 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 ta-dum, bum,
Yeah.
like either that one or the Requiem for a Dream that's like da 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 da, and then every time the cymbals crash, like Voldemort shoots another Avada Kedavra or the statue explodes.
Yeah.
The only thing if I wasn't going to do something serious like intense string music would be You're the Best Around in parentheses from the Karate Kid soundtrack. Because I do think it would be fun to be like, you're the best whoosh, around. Oh, I've turned the fire whip into a snake. Nothing's ever going to bring you down. Dumbledore turns the snake into smoke.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, if you think that Harry versus Voldemort in Book 7 should advance, make some noise. Okay. If you think Dumbledore versus Voldemort in Year 5 should advance, make some noise. Okay. All right. So we've got Dumbledore versus Voldemort. And now we can move on to the Ravenclaw section where we've got the Shrieking Shack werewolf stuff versus the Seven Potters. What are you feeling?
I'll do Seven Potters.
Okay. Shrieking Shack. The Shrieking Shack. Oh. Since it does end with werewolves, I feel like it would be a perfect usage of Werewolves in London. And I don't know exactly when it would come in, but maybe like when Snape wakes up and they triple Expelliarmus him and he slams into the wall, and then it's just like dun 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 dun.
And to be clear, not the song that Kid Rock samples that song, right?
Oh, no, he does that?
He does that, and it's terrible.
That sounds really bad. No, I have a strong connection to Werewolves in London in that when I was, I think, like 3 or 4.
You were a werewolf in London.
Yes, and I used to put on a plastic fireman's hat that I got from something in New Jersey, and my dad, who's very into classic rock, would play the song, and I would like march around our living room to this song. Do not let that affect your judgment. But that is my connection with Werewolves in London. An old song for old people. So Seven Potters, what do you got?
So in the theme of it being 7, I think as they were all mounting their various steeds, the intro to Seven Nation Army would start playing.
Oh, that's good. Oh, shit, that's good.
And then like the guitar riff would come in just as the Death Eaters appear, like the full guitar riff, not just the bass. Yeah, I think that would be it.
Okay.
Side note about Seven Nation Army, the whole world is obsessed with that song.
Dude, yeah, every soccer match the people chant
That's
it.
exactly what I was going to say, because I went to the World Cup in 2018 in Russia, which feels weird now.
Wow.
And like literally that song got the people going unlike anything I've ever seen. And like we hear that song at all of our sporting events and it's like, oh yeah, fun, they're playing the one or whatever. But like people love Seven Nation Army. Like that is like the universal language.
It's a really good one. That and then also the
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I went to international soccer games as well. I was very surprised when people started chanting. I was like, you guys like the White Stripes? Cool. All right, so if you think the Shrieking Shack should advance, make some noise. Okay, if you think Seven Potters should advance, make some noise. Yeah. I mean, that was a really good call. That was definitely better. I was thinking in my head about songs with 7, and the only thing I could think of was the Brian McKnight song, Back to 1, where it's like, 1, you're like a dream come true, 2. But that song only goes up to 5, so it wouldn't have worked anyway.
I guess the 5 Potters. My favorite chapter.
The 5 Potters. Okay. So now we've got in the evil section, we have Bathilda Backshot revealing to actually be a snake the whole time, and Malfoy Manor.
I think I'll do Bathilda.
Okay, you start with Bathilda, and then I'll do Malfoy Manor.
So I think the moment that her neck opened up, I would press play, and it would say, I was working in the lab. Yes, that's right. The Monster Mash would play during this scene.
And for a second, I was wondering, because once you said that, I got it, but everyone laughed. I was like, am I a nerd? Or is it a really popular reference? Are we all nerds?
I recently did some Googling, I think last Halloween, on like the guy who's the voice in the Monster Mash. And I think, he passed away like, a decade or more ago. But I learned that like his name was Bobby Pickett, but his middle name, or not his middle name, it was just his nickname because it was in quotes on all the Wikipedia stuff, was Boris. And I think that's just because he's like playing the character of Boris in the Monster Mash. Yeah.
That's very good.
Right?
That I thought what that was going to be was like basketball players back in the day, their nickname would just be like a different first name. So like Walt Frazier, my favorite Nick of all time, his nickname is Clyde just because he was cool and dressed cool. So when he dressed cool, they were like, Clyde. Like, okay. Be like, hi, I'm Mike Ricardo Schubert. Okay, that's really good for Bathilda. Malfoy Manor, I think given like how hectic it is and how much it ramps up like right off the bat, it reminds me of a song that the first time I heard this was at Six Flags Great Adventure Fright Night. Is Ballroom Blitz a big thing? Yeah, where it's like, and the man in the back and he's under attack. And she thinks she's the passionate one. I just feel like that works for a scene where like a small dude falls from a chandelier and breaks it, and there's just hecticness all about. Like Ballroom Blitz feels like,
It has the energy of like a Scooby-Doo chase scene, when they're going back and forth in the hallway.
Blitz would totally be in a Scooby-Doo chase scene. Everyone go listen to Meddling Adults. Okay, if you think, we're working on season 4, don't worry. If you think that the Bathilda Bagshot scene should advance, make some noise. Oh, if you think Malfoy Manor should advance, make some noise. Okay. A lot of Peacock fans out in the crowd. So now we'll move on to the final scoring battle is between the breaking into the Ministry of Magic, the silly heist, and breaking into Gringotts, the more serious heist. Which heist do you want, Johnny?
As the more serious person, I will be doing Gringotts.
Okay. Okay. So since it is a heist, but it doesn't go super well, I would imagine that like just as they, get into this, or maybe like just as they're starting to do it, like they're getting all ready and they're like, okay, let's start. And they're going to do the thing where they, get the people to polyjuice and whatever. The theme song from Mission Impossible plays. They're like, but because it doesn't go well, the whole thing is played on the recorder. Which, if no one's ever seen the like Jurassic Park one played by the recorder, all-time YouTube video. It's really good.
Wow, I wouldn't watch that in 1,000 years. I think for Gringotts, let's see. I think when they step into the vault, and at the moment that they first touch something and it multiplies, they would start with, we take my money. Yeah. And then as pandemonium unfolds, the pandemonium of Gold Digger unfolds.
Is it the clean version where it's she's a broke, or not messing with no broke, and then you're getting because you have 12 playing?
Yeah, a lot. I think it'll be that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you'll start playing the song again as the things multiply, so then it'll sound like nonsense.
Okay, if you think silly heist breaking into the Ministry of Magic should advance, make some noise. Okay, if you think serious heist breaking into Gringotts should advance, make some noise. I got it. Yeah, that got it. Okay. All right, Gringotts advances. And now we can get into the Final Four. Ho-ho! That's what's happening this weekend, I think, question mark. So the first matchup is between the representative of the duel bracket, which is Dumbledore versus Voldemort in Book 5. That makes sense. It's the best duel. And the representative from the Hufflepuff bracket, the Gringotts heist. Now, for this round, what we'll be doing for these two matchups is that you have to present your argument in rhyming couplet form. You can do one couplet, you can do multiple couplets, but whatever you say must rhyme. Johnny, would you like to do Dumbledore versus Voldemort or breaking into Gringotts?
I think I've been on Team Gringotts all evening.
Okay, cool. You want to go first or second?
I'll go first.
Cool.
Oh, man. Can't afford my Birdie Bots. Walked into the bookstore, couldn't afford anything at Flourish and Blots. But it's March Madness. We got to take our shots. Only way I can get more money is to break into Gringotts.
Ooh, okay. All right. Just got can't I pottered. How can it get worse? Oh no, Voldemort's throwing the killing curse. Dumbledore enters, my savior is here. He's trapped Voldemort in a water sphere?
When we started doing these, they were just 2 lines, and we've advanced to 4 recently, and it's way better.
We've upgraded. We've done this before. If you think that the Gringotts heist should advance, make some noise. All right. If you think Dumbledore versus Voldemort should advance, make some noise. Okay. I mean, yeah, it's a good scene. Okay, so now to figure out who the finalist is, we've got the 7 Potters versus Malfoy Manor. What would you like to rhyme for?
I'll rhyme for Malfoy Manor.
Okay, then I'll kick it off with 7 Potters. Let's see. I've turned 17, meaning the protective curse ends. I'm now joined in the kitchen by my closest friends. We've decided looking like me will be all of our disguises, and tragically, my best owl friend has met her demises.
Fuck. We're stuck in Malfoy Manor. Whoever got us here was not a good planner. Boy, this sure is a sticky situation, made much worse by Wormtail's autoerotic asphyxiation. That's what that was.
Once you said situation, I'm like, he's either saying that or masturbation. It's one of the two. If you think that 7 Potters should advance, make some noise. All right, okay. If you think Malfoy Manor should advance, make some noise. Okay. Thank you to the person right over there that really wanted 7 Potters to win. I hear you, but I can't see you because of the lights on stage. But I hear you. Okay, so now we're into the final matchup between Dumbledore versus Voldemort, the duel, and Malfoy Manor. This is good. I did not expect Malfoy Manor to make it out, but I think it makes sense. So what we do for the final round is Johnny and I will each pick one to defend, and we will give a 3-minute TED Talk about why that scene is the best action scene in the Harry Potter books. Which one would you like to TED Talk defend?
I think I'll go with Malfoy Manor.
Okay, I'll do Dumbledore versus Voldemort. Would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay. For the folks at home, Johnny stood up. Getting a round of applause. Ooh, and the dramatic lights are here. Ah. You should go to these shows in person if you're listening and we come to a city near you.
Thank you. Welcome to my TED Talk. Fate is a funny thing.
The lighting department killing the game.
Getting interrupted on your TED Talk
I'll pause it for 10 seconds.
is a funny thing. We all walk many paths in our lives, and sometimes those windy roads intersect. We might be on the train to Hogwarts, as we all, and we get plucked off that train by some Death Eaters and thrown in a dungeon. Or we might be camping in the woods, and one of us said Voldemort, which apparently triggers a whole bunch of bad stuff, and then we get thrown in that dungeon with big puffy faces. We haven't talked about the puffy faces yet that they have during Malfoy Manor. We may devote our whole lives to supporting someone who is obviously a Nazi. No matter which of those 3 winding paths we take, we end up in the same place. And I think there is something to be said for the beauty of that. Because whether you spend your life supporting a Nazi and or whether you spend your life, running a bunch of really shitty businesses and like a really crappy TV show, or, whether you spend your life fighting for good you can end up wherever you want. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But the most beautiful story of all is the story of a free elf. A story that starts with a cake being dropped, and yes, it was cake. A story that continues with working in the Hogwarts kitchens, and a story that ends in the same place as the story of the Nazi supporters, as the story of the people on the train, as the story of the people who went camping. And that free elf made sure that after those roads intersected, the story of the Nazis went poorly, and the story of everyone else went well. And so I want to dedicate my TED Talk to Dobby, a free elf.
It's really good. Tugging at the heartstrings of Dobby and the hate strings of Nazis.
Yeah.
Pro move. Okay. Hello, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now, when we are reading the Harry Potter books, as we all did as children, we are told two things. We are told of the power and the might of Dumbledore. We've heard about this incredible duel he had many moons ago. We know he's this incredible wizard. We don't really see him do any sort of magic, though. We just hear about this. We also hear a lot about Voldemort, who honestly doesn't even really show up until the fourth book. Like, he's so scary, he's not even there. But even when he does return in the fourth book, he's like a weird, like, gangly baby type thing, and then he becomes a big body, but he only throws one spell. We don't really get to see the true mastery of his evil. We've got these two things that build and build over the course of the book. And when we get to see Dumbledore's prowess as the most powerful wizard ever, is also when we get to first see Voldemort's true power as the most evil wizard ever. And it happens in the same duel in the Ministry of Magic. And when you're reading this, it's the most dramatic thing. Really intense battle scene, big showdown with the Death Eaters and all of our friends. And you've got the tragedy of Sirius, and you've got Harry being so, just so angry at Bellatrix. And then Voldemort makes the greatest entrance that anyone's ever made in the history of the universe. Just when you think it can't get better, this fight happens, and it's truly ridiculous, because the first thing that happens is that Voldemort tries to kill Harry, and what does Dumbledore do? He casts away the spell by making a statue come to life and jump in front of it. Mwah! The theatrics. The panache. It's incredible, and it doesn't stop there. Voldemort is throwing curses all over the all over the place. Dumbledore is throwing statues all over the place to block the spells, but then it keeps going. You've got Dumbledore getting a fire whip coming out of his wand and just whipping it at Voldemort, who then turns it into a giant snake. And then Dumbledore makes that snake disappear. And then what happens? Just like when you accidentally do a combo in Marvel vs. Capcom and your friend comes in to like kick somebody, Fox is here and he's taking a shot and then he's gone. Didn't see this one coming. Thanks, Fox. But not only do you have all of this, you've got Voldemort trash talking. You've got Dumbledore saying that line where he says something where it's like, it was a mistake to come here. Tom! Who? The most intense use of a first name ever. It's so good, and Dumbledore, the whole time, it just describes it as flicking the wrist. It says something to the effect of moving forward as if nothing was the matter. And he wasn't afraid of anything. So you've got the two things that have built up for the past 5 books coming to a head in this duel. It's the best scene. Nothing can top it. And this scene alone makes the 5th book good when 80% of the 5th book sucks shit. And that is my TED Talk. Thank you for coming to it.
We could have used Whip It for the Dumbledore fire whip scene. Whip it!
That would have been great. So now is the most important applause. Now is the most important applausometer of the night. If you think that Malfoy Manor is the best scene, make some noise. Okay. If you think Dumbledore versus Voldemort's duel is the best scene, make some noise. Okay. We have the winner. It's Dumbledore versus Voldemort.
I really want to shout out whoever in the crowd right after Mike said this is the most important applausometer of the night. They let out a big sigh and they went, "Whew, shit."
This will have serious ramifications. People take these seriously. All right, well, first off, thank you all so much for helping us arrive at these decisions. Give yourself a round of applause. Okay. So now we're here for a little bit more before we get kicked out of this very lovely, sweet venue. We're going to do some Q&A, the first of which comes from a listener named Kelly Schubert. The subject line is live show question, and then in all caps, from your wife. So I will answer it. She says, "Hi, Miko, it's me. I tried one of the special cookies that you ordered. I ordered cookies. They're not special like that. They are just gourmet cookies. I don't know if you know Hrishikesh Hirway, the guy who does Song Exploder and West Wing Weekly. He partnered with a local cookie company in Los Angeles and made a custom flavor, which was a flavor that he always wanted to exist. It was spicy dark chocolate with pistachio, which is very on brand for me. We ordered them, and of course they arrived 2 hours after Johnny and I left. The plan was they would arrive right before. They didn't get there. So Kelly says, I tried one of the special cookies you ordered. You won't be disappointed. They're spicy. If you could design your ideal cookie, what would it be? And would it be this cookie you ordered? It might be that cookie I ordered. I don't know if I would think of it though, but in retrospect, that's a really good one. I do really like peanut butter as well. So I think maybe the same cookie, but with a little bit of peanut butter, but I would have to make sure it's not too much, because I feel if you have a chocolate but peanut chip cookie, if there's too much peanut butter, it's I should have just eaten, I should have just got a Reese's or made a PB&J. It can become a little overpowering. So I would say probably the same thing. I do love pistachio a lot, but maybe throw in a little peanut butter. How about you? What's your dream cookie?
So, I love classic chocolate chip, but there's been a lot of discourse recently on the internet about the notion of making chocolate chip cookies without the chocolate chips, and people are really passionate. Have you heard about this? Because that's not a cookie. You can't just get a chocolate chip cookie that that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's interesting.
People are all about it recently. So I want to try that. That's my dream cookie to try.
Okay, have fun. This next question comes from Samantha, whose subject line is DC Amber Alerts in Harry Potter. Shout out to me, not knowing the difference, and now remembering that when the car is missing, it's silver alert, blah, 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 blah. Cool. Mike isn't smart. Now, Samantha says, hi, Mike, great show. I guess even though I forgot what an Amber Alert was, it didn't ruin the show. Of all the many horrible things that happen to children in Harry Potter, what would be the top thing that should have prompted an Amber Alert? It's a really good one.
I'm going to start literal.
Okay, yeah.
Because, as I just discussed, a whole bunch of kids got abducted from the train, and everyone was just fine with it in the seventh book.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Maybe the basilisk freezing people, petrifying them. That feels pretty Amber Alert worthy, I would say.
The fact that Hogwarts doesn't have a therapist.
Yeah, that's also what came to mind. The fact that they don't have a basketball team, it's pretty. The school should have been shut down. I think even the second they decided that they were going to bring the Triwizard Tournament back, it should be local school decides to kill teenagers. I feel that should have been, at least to the parents, get your kid home. They've made a bad decision. Okay. Let's see. All right.
The subject is cherry blossoms without representation.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So this is from Ashlyn. Ashlyn says, hello, Ashlyn, a TNO fan here. The Newest Olympian, a great podcast you should all listen to. With her Potterless sister. Who makes the better smart, capable female crew member surrounded by stupid boys? Hermione or Annabeth? I think given the prompt you've done, I would lean towards Hermione just because she has to overcome the thick-headedness of Ron and Harry at the same time. Whereas Percy can be a bit annoying at times, but at least for what I've read, Grover/Tyson are really good dudes. I think I like Annabeth more than Hermione, but I think for just in the phrasing of who's better at overcoming annoying boys, I would give the edge to Hermione. Are you in agreement there? Okay, let's see. Okay, this is from Rebecca, who says, DC live show, and then I'm the girl who clapped after the first round.
A celebrity.
Okay. Let's see. Number 1 says, this has been eating me alive. I sent you a package a while ago to the Multitudio. It was a copy of the screenplay of Fantastic Beasts. I know you hate the movie, so do I. Do you get it? I need to know. Yes, I got it. I have received it. Yay. I have it. Don't worry. Number 2 is I love the newest Olympian. My question is, what's your wildest prediction right now? Wildest. I think at least, I don't know if it's the wildest, at least it's the biggest swing I'm taking is that I think that Thalia, who currently is a tree, is going to come back as a human. So if you have not read Percy Jackson, you're very confused. It is a big guess, but trust me, it kind of makes sense. She was a person, she turned into a tree. I think she's turning back into a person. I would say that would be my biggest swing right now, but we will have to see. Okay. Andrew says, what are your thoughts on the 20th anniversary Harry Potter reunion movie? Didn't watch it? Fuck that shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Oh, the movie is cool. I mean, in all honesty, like I have no nostalgic connection to the movies because I started watching them 4 years ago. So I'm like, it hasn't been 20 years. What are we all talking about? These movies came out. I don't know, whatever. Okay, this is from Emma, who says, hi, Mike and Johnny. My name is Emma. I'm a Hufflepuff. My question for you is, which Triwizard task do you think you would be the best at, and which do you think you would be the worst at? I'd be bad at the swimming one, I think. I'm not... I would get too nervous when I saw evil people underwater. I don't think I would.
When I worked at a summer camp and I had to be a lifeguard for the summer, I had to go through lifeguard training, and part of lifeguard training in the state of Michigan was to swim 550 meters, I guess, without dying. And I barely passed. I came in last by so far that when I finished, everybody else who was going alongside me was already out of the water, and they clapped when I finished. So that's the one I'd be the worst at.
But the best, I feel like I would have been the best at the... God bless you. I think I would be the best at the third one. Everything up to having to fight Voldemort. I don't know that I would have done well in that portion, but everything else, I feel like I could have held my own with the riddle. I've been pretty good in my corn maze days. I think I could handle that. And I feel like I could handle the upside down mist stuff too. I feel like the third task I would be best at. I just don't think I would be very good at trying to deceive a giant dragon in order to steal an egg. I feel like I would walk out and they'd be like, here's the task. I'd be like, all right, I'll see you guys later. I'm out of here. I'll play some wizard's chess, little lower stakes. What would you be best at?
Well, I already admitted that I wouldn't have been able to get that riddle right, so I think by default, the first one.
There you go. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Allison asks, where the fuck are you materializing that hairbrush from, you wizard? I have realized that it is behind the laptop screen, so it does look like I am making a hairbrush magically appear. Yeah, if anyone listening at home hears people quietly chuckle in the back of the show, it's because I've brushed my hair a couple of times throughout. I only get to be seen so often. I gotta make sure I look good. Oh, which one are we pointing at?
The From Texas.
There's a From Texas. Where? Okay, cool, great. So this is from Neelam. Hi, Mike. I'm from Texas, and I'm moving to New York City for a job after I graduate this summer. I'm just in D.C. for, in double quotations, quotation, study abroad, quotation. Okay. I mean, I guess because you're not abroad. That would at least be one quotations. Is the second because you're also not studying? Program. Any tips for things I should keep in mind for moving to New York City? Okay, let's see. Here's what I will say. This is at least the moment where, this is the silliest thing that took me too long to learn when I moved to New York, is the subway system's great. It goes all over the place. It can be a little confusing, but what the trains will say is they will either say uptown or downtown if you're going in Manhattan. And for the longest time, I was like, why don't the trains just say north and south? And then 3 months later, I was like, up and down, you idiots. Because I was used to the BART in San Francisco where it always says a whatever city bound train. So I would just always know oh, this is going into San Francisco, this is going into Richmond, whatever. Whereas New York does directions. And it took me 3 months to realize that north and up are the same. That would be my biggest piece of advice to give.
I live in the burbs, so I have really nothing to offer here. But while we're on the topic of the subway, so my brother, who's here tonight, which is really awesome.
Yeah!
He always texts me tweets from some Twitter account that like shits on the DC Metro, and I've heard it's like been. Is it still really bad? Apparently it's been really bad lately.
No. Lots of grumbling. Lots of grumbling. All right, this one comes from Amanda. Amanda says she is a proud Ravenclaw. Her question is, if you could choose one food from the wizarding world to try that doesn't actually exist in the same form in the Muggle world, what would it be? We did a best food bracket. Trying to think of one that is wizardy but doesn't exist here. I mean, butterbeer is like an easy one. I do like whiskey, so fire whiskey feels like it would be a top choice.
Oh, fire whiskey does exist in the Muggle world. It's just Fireball.
It's not. No, that is not whiskey at all.
It's antifreeze. That's right.
It's antifreeze. How dare you? I'm trying to think of a thing that like is explicitly magical that is food that is in the Harry Potter world. Oh, no. This is one, and this is like such a niche one for me, but the mints that floss your teeth and stuff. I would love that. It'd be so good. We would all be so much better. Imagine if that existed in our world and you went to the dentist, and after you lied about how long it was since your last dentist appointment, when they ask, do you floss every day, you could say yes and not be lying. That would be great. And maybe I'm an old fart for wanting this of all the candies, but I think that'd be very cool. I mean, we would never have to worry about, is something in my teeth ever again? A genuine question I asked Johnny before we took the stage. Just in case people sitting really far away would be like, I think he has spinach in his teeth. I'm never listening to another episode of anything he does again. Do you have a pick of wizardy food?
We talked about cauldron cakes that one time, and we had the debate about, you think that they're like molten lava cakes, and I think that they're like Hostess cupcakes. So I would like to have that just to find out who's right.
Okay, this is a fun question from Mercedes, who asks, what do you think are the most popular podcasts in the wizarding world? This can be answered in the form of real-world podcasts that would be popular, or create your own, hosted by characters in the series. I think we should go that way, like a fictional thing. I think like Draco would have like a Joe Rogan podcast, and it would be, unfortunately, wildly popular. I think that would be one for sure. Ludo Bagman could have one of those like sports betting podcasts where they tell you about like who to pick for your fantasy team and stuff, but he's always incredibly wrong. Everything he picks is incorrect. Fred and George would probably have the wizarding equivalent of like Comedy Bang Bang, or one of those improv-based ones that's been around for a really, really long time. Rita Skeeter would have the worst version of Serial ever, where like they would release the season and then immediately there's only one newspaper and it's bad. Like if there was a good newspaper, they'd be like, everything she said was untrue. Nothing was correct. Do you have any other podcast choices?
I'm sort of imagining like, as a child, there was a really like popular series of books about a Muggle boy who grew up in New Jersey, and Harry didn't read those books as a child, and so when Harry turns 24, Harry decides he wants to read those books.
It would have to be a series of books that I read as a child, so it would be like him doing like like the series of unfortunate events books or something, which a lot of people have suggested I do a podcast about that, but like I devoured those. Those are very good. I don't remember much except for the one is called the Ersatz Elevator, and I was like, Mom, what does Ersatz mean? And my mom was like, I don't know. So also Mercedes asked like that she has a gift to give me. Yes, you can do that after the show. I'll be doing like keep it a little distance, but you can like drop it on the stage, and then after you leave, I'll grab it. Sorry, I'm flying to India on Saturday, so I super don't want to get COVID. Because let me tell you, 3-week trips to India, super fucking expensive. Don't worry, I got trip insurance that surely won't work if I actually catch COVID, given every review of every trip insurance company ever. Okay. Okay. This is from Sarah, because I've been trashing Hedwig all night. What is the best Harry Potter pet? Hedwig, Crookshanks, or Fang? I think of these, I'm going to pick Pigwidgeon, the bird who tries his best. I love Pigwidgeon so much. Just a cute little tryhard.
But Fang is the goodest
I
boy.
mean, Fang is a really good boy. Fang is a really good boy. Voldemort, thank you. Yes, Voldemort Jr., which in the smash hit iPhone game Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery, there is a side quest where, since it's in the past, you get to find Fang. You have to help. Like Hagrid just got a new puppy, but he lost it, and you help him find Fang. And then Hagrid is going to name his newfound puppy, and he asks you, "What would you like to name it?" And I think the names are like Fido, Fang, or Voldemort Jr.
What the fuck?
And if you pick Voldemort Jr., Hagrid basically goes, "That's not a good choice. I'm going to go with Fang." And I was furious. Sarah also asks UNC or Duke on Saturday. I'm going to root for Duke. I liked Duke growing up. I don't know if that's heresy here. Look. Oh, I don't know. What? Oh, you guys mad because Georgetown sucked ass this year? Come on. Okay, someone very loudly said yes. Do you have a pick of UNC or Duke? Clearly, there's no correct answer to the question.
I just can't decide if it would be tragic or hilarious if Coach K's last game was a loss to UNC. So I don't know.
That would be very,
Don't ask
very
me.
good. Okay, let's see. Molly says, DC Live Show, happy Trans Day visibility. Happy Trans Day visibility. That's some good stuff. Go kick rocks, J.K. Rowling. Molly says, hi, hope you're both doing well. I was wondering if either of you know about all the young dudes. Yes, if I get another fucking email about this shit, look, I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's good. I'm not reading fan fiction where when I went to scroll it, the scroll dot was like non-existent. It's so long, guys.
It's described
It's
as
so
Order
long.
of the Phoenix length in this email.
You know how? Oh yeah, Order of the Phoenix, the book we all make fun of for being too long. No, I've heard really good things about it, but like there are so many books that I have not read when I was choosing to read children's novels, and now I'm continuing to do it for the News Olympian. Harry Potter is very good. I read the one true fan fiction, which was the My Immortal. Why would you have any other fan fiction when you've reached perfection? I've heard some great stuff about it. This one, and then some like the Harry Potter Methods of Rationality, blah, blah, blah. I've heard incredible things, but I am not going to read it. I apologize. I honestly should auto-filter my Gmail to send a reply that says this, where I'm like, thank you, I do know about this. I'm not going to read it. I hope you enjoy it. I've heard great things.
We also get a well actually in here.
Then you know what? This email's been deleted.
But they also ask for a fuck turfs from us, so fuck turfs.
Yes, fuck turfs. They're the worst. Don't like them at all. Okay. So this one comes from Alan. Alan asks, when someone subbed to your Patreon with a name that was the first 100 digits of pi, how many takes did it take you to read that out without mistake? I gotta say, really proud. I got it in the first try.
Now do it from memory.
I don't know it memorized, but I will say, I do try really hard with the patron names, especially if people have names. Potterless has a very solid international listenership, which is really cool, like at least 40%, which is awesome. Shout out to Finland, one of the smallest countries that is like my 5th most listened to country. I gotta go over there and do a live show because I think the whole nation's gonna show up. Like you could just turn off the lights of Finland, but the thing is, like, it is sometimes hard to pronounce the names, and sometimes I'll either message people or I would like I would Google like how to pronounce this name and like listen to YouTube videos and all this kind of stuff. But to say a bunch of numbers isn't too hard. Like it's harder than it sounds, but I think the biggest thing I would have made the mistake of was mispronouncing something or jumbling over. And when you're just saying 3.14159, you can do it. So I got it in one take. Proud of myself. Okay, let's do one more and then I think we're gonna go. Okay. Oh, great. Yes, thank God. Natalie, you did it. This is a perfect question. What house would you sort the Ted Lasso characters into? Incredible. Okay, let's go. Ted Hufflepuff. Nailed it. No question. I feel like if we're going for Slytherin but not racist, I feel like Rebecca would be a Slytherin. Very cunning, especially given, I won't spoil anything. Everyone should watch this program. It's very good. Apple's not sponsoring me, but they should be. What she does in the first season is still very cunning and such. So I think if we're going by book, human Slytherins and not book Slytherins.
I would actually argue for her as a Ravenclaw. I think she's really sharp, but I don't think she has the sort of like... I think she grows out of the connivingness after. I think she only had that because she was so hurt.
Yeah.
Nate, definitely a Slytherin.
Definitely a Slytherin. No further comments. To not spoil anything, I feel like Keely would be a Hufflepuff because she's just so incredibly lovable. I think Jamie Tart has to be like the worst version of a Gryffindor possible, but
Yeah, he's Cormac McLaggen.
but he gets but he gets a little better. He's got the, oh my God, what if we fix him? He's like James Potter, truly, in that it's like, but what if I could fix him? And then you kind of can a little bit.
Is Roy a good Slytherin or is he a Gryffindor?
Oh, I was gonna say Roy Kent is Filch, like just like grumpy, all of like a good Filch, like I don't have time for this kind of character.
And then Beard is definitely a Ravenclaw. For sure.
Yeah. He's all
yeah.
like intellectual and stuff like that. And then Rupert obviously is just a Death Eater. That's where he gets sorted into. Is there anyone else? Sam. Oh, Sam has got to be a Hufflepuff.
Yeah,
he's so smart that he's got to be a Ravenclaw. He's incredibly knowledgeable
But he's also super brave with the taking a stand. So he could you can make an argument for a lot of it. You just let him choose.
Yeah, he would like the hat would go on. It would be really, really hard, and that would be going. Okay, great. Thank you. Great question. And thank you all for the people who asked questions. We had so many we couldn't get to all of them. But thank you all so much for coming out to the show. This is so cool. There are so many of you out here. This is wild. Give yourself a round of applause, please, for coming out. I very much appreciate it. Give a round of applause for Johnny for being an incredible guest. And of course, I want to thank City Winery and all of the folks that helped out, from sound to lighting to hospitality to merch. Everyone here has been so nice and made this quite a seamless show. Thank you all so much. And again, thank you all. Normally, under normal circumstances, I would love to do meet and greet, but because of that aforementioned India trip that I super can't get sick for, I'm just going to clean up the mess of pretend dollar bills that we made with money guns and then head backstage. But again, thank you all so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. And until next time, whenever we come on back to DC to do another show, because obviously, how could we not? When we come back, as they say in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Wizard on! Thank you so much for coming out, everybody!